Only two requests. I'm not arguing. Two requests. On Prem Kumar Jain, I may be permitted to file a two-page note.
Sure.
But how it's not a good law, and your lordship.
You have the note right now?
No, I'll file it by tomorrow.
No problem.
Second, look, I have already filed an application seeking reference. I have already argued the points. So for that also, I'll file.
But we didn't hear any argument on a reference of that.
At the end of the constitution bench, your lordship asked.
That was never argued. To a larger basis. This was never argued. We are now in rejoinder.
No, I'm sorry. I'll point out.
In fact, we were thinking.
Lord, the reference is needed. Lord, I have already argued the difference.
Now, it can't be now after Dr. Singhvi is in a rejoinder.
No, allow me, Lord, 2 minutes.
The reference has to be argued at the outset. We are now where Dr. Singhvi is virtually, we would have finished yesterday.
Lord, your lordships would recall.
We were also flagging in energy at the end of the day, and we thought we must give a fresh.
No, certainly. Your lordships would recall. When I filed the application and Dr. Singhvi objected, my lord said that he can always argue during his submissions. My lord, the Chief Justice were pleased to say. Lord, the reference essentially is on the ground that the contours of federalism between union and union territory requires a relook other than, my lord. So, my lord, I'm not repeating anything. It is covered in my argument. I'll just put a two-page note.
That is not.
No, your lordships in fact said that let it not be separately argued. It would be covered in his argument.
I mean, we would have looked at the matter very differently. I mean, if there was the issue of reference was never been argued. I mean, we are now, your argument, your side is concerned.
I understood your lordship saying that instead of filing an application.
We'll consider. Dr. Singhvi?
Yes. No, his lordship should remember these two things. I mean, I would want to eat.
Only, my lord, before it.
I don't.
But I would honestly urge your lord, my lord, the Chief Justice. No, when I mentioned that allow me to circulate, my lord said that you can always cover it in your arguments.
No.
But it was not covered in the argument. That's the point.
All points are covered without using the word reference.
With great respect, Wallace, this matter came before the division bench which referred it to your lordships about, Wallace, 10 times. I think Justice Kohli was part of that bench. 10 times over 1 year or 6 months. It was in fact listed for hearing, etc. Went to 3 judges. Justice Suryakant was there. Not at any time was a reference mentioned. No application was filed. Matter is listed by our lords for 10th. Just before that, a few weeks before that, it is raised. It is not told to your lordship that the prayer is identical to a review filed. This your lordship should know. 90006 of 22 by my learned friend. 4.5 years, 3.5 years after the 2018 Constitution bench. A review of that. This is nothing but the same thing. He files it, Wallace, on May of 21, 3.5 years later. He, Wallace, is saying that that judgment should be reviewed. Why? Because it is contrary to NDMC. That's the short point. Identical prayer in a review filed 3.5 years after the Constitution bench is repeated a few weeks before this bench is to convene. With great respect, the lordship in the Constitution bench doesn't allow these things. What is the review? What is the reference, fellows? Reference is simply one sentence, actually, boils down to. There is a NDMC. NDMC,
there are
9 judges.
Points which I have.
Sorry.
But I don't.
And it should be referred. Your lordship has dealt with NDMC, good, bad, or indifferent, 10 times in the Constitution bench. What your lordship will do with it is your lordship prerogative there. You already dealt with NDMC. For that reason, it should be referred to now 9 judges, or maybe 11. Malas, with respect, this will be hugely dilatory. Your lordship has spent all the time. Today, Malas, we have gone into the Constitution bench, we've gone into everything.
Lord, it can be anything but dilatory, my lord. We are dealing with the capital of the nation, my lord, and therefore, whether it is done today or tomorrow, my lord, that hardly makes any difference. My learned friend may be in a tremendous hurry to do certain things, my lord, but we are more on the future course of action, my lord. We may not be remembered in history for having handed over, my lord, capital to a complete anarchy.
I don't see
That's, my lord, my argument, and I have made those submissions. I'll just, Lord, put it 2-page note.
In his entire 90 and 54 pages, total of 140-50 pages, no reasons given for reference. Not asked. In his entire submission. Well, this is with respect. We can't repeat this capital well as like a mantra every time. Of course, it's the capital. and it's a capital with a legislature with representative democracy. Their argument is the merit, nothing to do with the reference to 7 judges. Today, your lordships, having dealt with the entire 2018, so many paras, are suddenly at the end of my rejoinder will ask for reference. That would be very unprecedented for a constitution.
But I repeated that. I have covered the issues in my submissions. If your lordship permits, I'll place a 2-page.
May I start?
Yeah.
But can I place a 2-page note on that? Well, that's all.
I am objecting. This will go on and on endlessly. It will be made a ground subsequently for a 9-judge bench reference. With greatest respect.
No difficulty that you can certainly give your note because that's a question of law about.
Understood. I leave it at that. It's ultimately my lord's entire prerogative. Your lordships may only record that I reiterated, your lordships have not considered. That's all. It should not be, my lord, argued that it was argued and rejected. That's all.
It should not be an ambush procedure, Manas. And your lordship.
So I'm saying something factual.
This issue can.
Yes, my lord. It's a reasonable request that your lordship may record.
Yes.
Say that we are not going in.
Now, Manas, your lordship had reached para 3, and I'll speed along and I'll finish within my 1 hour. Manas.
Yesterday's.
What I've done is, I have given you a short 2-page additional rejoinder note. Lordship may open both yesterday's and today's, and that will be about all.
We hope that tomorrow there may not be any another. I have
That
Never give a lawyer 1 overnight. Me also included.
with greatest respect to all of you, just speaking from myself, I have never seen submission, additional submission. Every day in the night we are taken by surprise. In the morning we are taken by surprise.
this is only a quotation mostly.
No, it's okay, but
97.
anyway,
97.
we consider it.
Now, let's kindly open the main submission which your lordship has got, which your lordship opened yesterday.
Yes.
Now, let's allocation of this is where your lordship ended yesterday. Allocation of all India civil servants in respect of Agmod Kader is done by the Joint Kader Authority and not Ministry of Home Affairs as stated by the Learned Solicitor General. Now, let's here, your lordship will straight away turn to section 3 of the Act, Rule 4 thereafter, and the notification. These 3 documents. In the sequence of 3I, the Joint Kader Authority is established under Rule 4 of the All India Rules, which are statutory rules framed under 3.1. The authority is a committee comprising representatives of each of the government of the states constituting the Joint Kader. The Agmod Kader has been established under this rule by notification of 1995 April, whereby Delhi, along with the states of so and so, is represented by the Joint Kader Authority through its Chief Secretary, whereas the other union territories are collectively represented by the Ministry of Home Affairs. The function of the Joint Kader Authority under the All India Services Rules of 1972, under 5.1, is to determine the names of the members of the All India Services who may be required to serve from time to time in connection with affairs of each of the constituted states and the period or periods for which their services shall be available. If your lordship just comes straight away to section 3.1 of the All India Services Act, bookmark 9,
Volume?
Convenience 1, page 820. Show me from yours. This is the parent section, Malus, the Act.
820.
Read the first class. Yeah, read, Malus.
Page 8.
820.
Yes.
Opening part of 3 alone will suffice. The central government may, after consultation with the governments of the states concerned, including the state of J&K, and by notification in the official gazette, make rules for the regulation or recruitment and regulation of recruitment and the condition of service of persons appointed to an All India service. Now come to the rule under this, rules 4 and 5, which are at
Mark 45,
bookmark 45. Bookmark 45,
949.
page 3949 of the same volume, same convenience volume. Would my lords come us to clause 4 of rule 4? May I read?
Yes.
Committee of Representatives. There shall be a committee consisting of a representative of each of the governments of the constituent states to be called the Joint Cadre Authority. Now mark the word constituent states. The representatives of the government of the constituent states may either be members of an All India service or ministers in the Council of Ministers of the constituent states, as may be specified by the governments of the constituent states. Duties and functions of the Joint Cadre Authority. The Joint Cadre Authority shall determine the names of the members of the All India services, shall determine who may be required to serve from time to time in connection with the affairs of each of the constituent states and the period or periods for which their services shall be available to that government. Now, it is common ground that on the Joint Cadre, Delhi sits through its Chief Secretary, as do others. And of course, the central government also sits. Now turn to Balut's bookmark 48 at 3992, just a little ahead.
Just 1 second. You said the Delhi's chief secretary sits on the.
This is admitted position.
Yes.
Now I'm just showing that document. Obviously, states doesn't mean states. Otherwise, Delhi Chief Secretary can't say.
Page
3992. It is this notification, not a resolution, which in the past, as a temporary measure, said MHA may do it. The notification is statutory. This will proceed. This will prevail. What my learned friend showed was a resolution for temporary purposes, transitional purposes.
After this, please show us that resolution.
Yes, straight away.
We get.
Yes, ma'am, certainly.
We look at everything in the
Yes.
holistic.
So I showed the
25th
chain.
of April. This is a resolution of.
Yes, this is Malas, 25th of April 1995. It comes in a chain from the section, the rule, and then the notification. And the notification recites both of them. That's why I showed it last.
Yes. It is page 3996. Yes.
3992. Same compilation.
Yes.
May I read this?
Yes.
In excess, this is important. In exercise of the powers conferred by 3(1), which my Lord just saw, of the All India Act, Services Act, then also read with 4(1) of the Joint Cadre Rules, which my Lord just now saw.
Yes.
The central government, in consultation with the government of states concerned, hereby constitutes the Joint Cadre Authority for the IAS, IPS, IFS Joint Cadres of Arunachal Pradesh, Goa, Mizoram, Union Territories as below. Now, there is, you also may be confused with that line. See, the next line will become clear. Secretary, Ministry of Home Affairs is one of the co-equal persons, representing duties in respect of the Indian Administrative Service and Indian Police Service. 2 is Chief Secretary Arunachal, 3 is Chief Secretary Goa, 4 is Chief Secretary Mizoram, 5 is Chief Secretary Delhi, 6 is Inspector General of so-and-so, then Joint Secretary, etc., etc. Duties are mentioned more than once. Now, Malaz, Some apologies, Manus. 2 paras of yesterday's additional 2-page note, Manus. Because it links to this, the first 2 paras of yesterday's note. Rest of that note is only a quotation from case law, but these 2 paras, Manus, relate to this section.
Which para?
Manus, yesterday I sent you the note.
No, I know. Where is this?
Para 11 of that
Yes, the allocation of civil.
allocation. I'm very grateful. This is directly related to this one.
Sorry, Mr. Dr. Singh, just 1 second. Just give me 1 second. What are you reading in that?
May I read Manus, the top, the first line
Of
11 of this yesterday's note?
yesterday's note, right?
No.
Last.
Manus, I sent an additional.
Oh, not the one you were reading yesterday, but today's. Okay. Yes, I got it.
Lord, should we call it today's note? Right?
I read it in the morning.
Additional rejoinder.
Yes.
Yeah, additional service. Call it today's note. So 11 is the
Yes.
top para.
Yes.
My Lord has got it.
Yes.
Allocations of civil service in Agmat cadre is done by the joint cadre authority and not by the Ministry of Home Affairs. It is a continuation of point 3, so I'm sorry I have to read it like this. The union is arguing that control over allocation to the constituent part of the joint cadre is done by the Ministry of Home Affairs, relying on a resolution of the joint cadre authority in April 89, which Chief Justice just asked me to show. I'll show in a minute. I'll just show in a minute. This is that resolution of 1989. I have shown you notifications, etc. of 95. A mere perusal of the same shows that the Ministry of Home Affairs is merely acting transitionally as a delegate of the Joint Cadre Authority. It says, till such time as the Joint Cadre Authority creates a committee and is no longer the cadre controlling authority. More importantly, this is the second reason. The 89 resolution is before 239 AA came into being. Post 239 AA is reflected in the 25,495, which my Lord just now saw in a minute ago. It syncs completely, it fits in harmoniously, where Delhi is represented in the authority by its chief secretary, similar to the full-fledged states of Arunachal Pradesh, etc., etc. Then this para 12 is the addition, which is why I have to file this. Very important. Very, very important. That a civil services board exists in the NCT of Delhi to advise on transfers and postings within NCT Delhi. This is vital. The existence of a civil services board in Delhi, in fact, shows that Delhi has been treated at par with the state and not a union territory which is not going to be enjoying any benefit of a state. The IAS Cadre Amendment Rules of 2014, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Now, your Lordship remembers he cited TSR Subramanian. Post the judgment of Subramanian, there is an amendment to Rule 7. This is vital. It is in the bookmark, but I'll read it from here. It's quoted. Actually, I'm sorry. The entire picture is not there. So may I take a Lordship to these two documents, not read from here, because I'm not quoting the whole thing. So would my Lords first see the resolution Mr. Mehta relied upon in CV 4, page 138. And then this Rule 7 amendment. Convenience, volume 4, the relevant page is 138.
Convenience, there were 3 convenience volumes. We reflected
No, Manoj, there was
yesterday.
it's called a final compilation, which your Lordship should call 4 actually.
What is the PDF page?
Page is 138. I'm sorry, it may be 140 PDF page.
Not 138. 138 is something else.
There's some-
140, maybe 140.
Just 1 second.
It's bookmark 7. It's titled as Functions to Remain with the MHT.
138.
138 is correct. I thought your Lordship may have a 2-page.
That functions
I'm grateful.
Functions
with
to remain
SCA.
with MHA, UT division.
Justice. Narasimha has got
130.
Chief Justice has it.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Dr. Singh, this.
No. Please take your time.
Ima,
It's 138.
It's 142 of PDF, huh? Volume 4.
What is the title of this?
Volume 4, 142.
It says final compilation 4.
It's actually minutes of meeting.
Filed by Mr. Mehta.
It's a notification, no?
Yeah.
25,495.
Yes.
No, that my lord has seen.
No.
I'm now taking your lordship to the document filed by Mr. Mehta, relying on a resolution of 1989.
All right, that is one.
Part-
Yes, my landlord is right. It's a minute.
That is Justice Kohli may not have found it. It is
139, no, Ima? 139 there. Volume 4, 139.
compilation 4 of final compilation 4.
I'll look for it. Will you please, I'll not detail the rest. Please go ahead.
पहले दिन का जो-
Important, perhaps your lordship
पहले दिन
share
का
with
जो
Justice
4
Charles.
volumes
Four lines to be read, 6 lines. Functions to remain within, please mark the date, 1989 and a resolution, not a statutory notification. Note these 2 points. It's 1989 and a resolution. Functions to remain with the MHA UT division. Transfer posting of cadre officers from one segment to another. However, for this purpose, joint cadre authority will frame proper guidelines, keeping the overall interest of the service officers as well as the constituent state constituent units in view. Till the new guidelines are framed by the joint cadre authority, transfer posting from one segment to another will be guided by the guidelines as existing on date. This is 89, then comes 92, your lordships 239 AA, then comes the statutory notification in 95. And the language of this itself is till such time.
Yes.
Now, the second item is rule amendment to rule 7, which is at
Part 5 at page 1.
same compilation, bookmark 5 at page 131.
So this was October 1989.
Correct.
Then what is the date of the joint cadre rules which you showed us?
That is
Joint cadre rules.
the rule or the notification?
The rules.
No, rules.
The notification.
Just for that we can put it here.
25th of April 1995.
Right, that's the notification, statutory notification.
And the joint cadre rules of page 3949, what is the date of those?
1972. Correct.
That is 1972.
That is a general joint cadre rule, pre-existing one.
Cadre rule.
It's there before that. Now, my lords will kindly come to the amendment to Rule 7 in the context of Subramaniam also, which was cited at 131 of the same 4th compilation. Bookmark 5.
The notification of 2014.
Yes. Correct.
20th January.
131.
Yes.
This is important, the source of power and energy. In exercise of the powers, so again, same statutory source. In exercise of the powers conferred by 3(1) of the All India Services Act, which my lord has read with me, the central government, in consultation with the governments of the states concerned, hereby makes the following rules further to amend the rules, the cadre rules of 1954, which my lord just asked me.
Yes.
These rules may be called the IAS Cadre Amendment Rules of 2014. If your lordship will come to 2A, just under this, 2 lines below this. In the Administrative Service Cadre Rules of 54, for Rule 7, the following shall be substituted. Postings. All appointments of cadre officers shall be made on the recommendation of the Civil Services Board as specified in the schedule annexed to these rules. All appointments to cadre posts referred to in Sub-Rule 1 shall be made in the case of a state cadre by the state government. In the case of a joint cadre by the state government concerned. then kindly see how they understand the word state. Kindly go on. Just like the earlier rules, Manoj, state is the only word used. UT is not used, but they understand it to include UT. Then, Manoj, may I, with your Lordship permission, skip 3, 4, 5 and 7A? May I skip that? Kindly come below 7A, just the next page. For the schedule, the following schedule shall be substituted. Schedule. Composition of Civil Services Board. Every state government shall constitute a Civil Services Board which shall consist of Chief Secretary, Chairman, Senior Most Additional Chief Secretary, Board Revenue, Financial Commissioner, etc. rank, Member, Principal Secretary, Department of Personnel, Member Secretary. The Civil Services Board shall make recommendation for all appointment of cadre officers. This is the Civil Services Board functioning in Delhi. Where does it come from for a union territory, if you read the state technically? The Civil Services Board shall examine the cases of officers who are proposed to be transferred before completion of minimum period. They have always understood the UT to be included in all these rules, even though the word state is mentioned. They are having a Civil Services Board. It's a different matter that he excises the power and doesn't allow me to excise. But the Civil Services Board is here.
Just technically, I read this yesterday.
That's all right. I'm giving
I
my
read
submission.
It's not as if this was.
I'm not saying you suppressed it. I'm saying
Yes,
I'm
sir,
giving an
I read
interpretation.
it.
No, just the proviso to clause 5, it's an advisory body. Civil Services Board, advisory body.
Of course, Balu, the Civil Services Board, like everything else, is an advisory body. It makes suggestions. The government can always, Balu, accept. This covers my para 11.
LG,
Yeah.
that was my submission.
No, that obviously advises the LG or the NCT government, but it will be a later issue. Now, I have done with this point, and you know, come back to yesterday's rejoinder. So these are the 2 points related to para 3. I'm sorry, Manu, the Lordship may make a mark in para 3 of the yesterday's submission that they should be read with 11 and 12, which my Lord has just read. I now come to my yesterday's rejoinder note to para 4.
Yes.
Now your Lordship asked me that question on 309. Yesterday I said, well, I answered it, but I said I will be coming to it later in the note.
Yesterday's note.
Yesterday's note, para 4.
Scope of entry.
Correct. Scope of entry 41, list 2 is wider than the scope of the proviso to Article 309, and any executive action under 309 does not limit the power of the legislature to make laws under entry 41, list 2. That's the head proposition. Before I read that, may I itemize the points here? It will be easier than reading, then I'll read only one part. The points which I said yesterday need to be itemized now. A. I'm repeating, but I'm itemizing it under this section. The Constitution. 309 starts with subject to the whole Constitution. And necessarily, Malus, our special part dealing with 239 AA, etc., is part of that Constitution. And 309 is subject to that, to the entire Constitution. It says subject to this Constitution.
239 also says subject.
No, it says in only one clause. Not in
A.
I checked. 3A. Only in 3A. That's the point. My Lord is right.
Yeah.
These points you have enumerated here, or you're now
Well,
just...
it is here, but maybe not with that particularity. That's why I'm
So-
asking Lordship to just ABC only 3 points.
All right, just tell us.
It's not in this form. Manoj. A, subject to the Constitution. Just a general point. I'm not relying only on that.
Subject.
Is the opening word of 309. Subject to the provisions of this Constitution, comma, acts of the appropriate legislature, etc. So it's even acts, subject to. Second, B. Prem Kumar Jain was a direct case in the same part, 14, same chapter 1. 3 sections apart in 312. 3 sections apart. C.
Yes.
For 312, 4 learned judges of this court, which has stood the test of time, held that UT is covered and subsumed. In that case, the UT of Himachal and Delhi were held to form a joint cadre reversing the High Court, which said, because they are UTs, they are not covered under the word state. So, the C point is that it has been already decided by your lordships that UT is covered, albeit in a case arising under 312. D. Absent any special provision of this chapter or this part, your lordship will never read 312 to include UTs and 309 not to include UTs. As simple as that. As legislative power. It would be a very startling result unless your lordship were forced by some language to do it.
312 to
D is, I've dealt with C, which is for 312. Absent specific exclusionary language in the constitution in this chapter, your lordship will never read UTs to be subsumed under 312 as Jain holds, and UTs not to apply to 309 as my learned friend, the solicitor, argues. Imagine the startling consequences of that kind of interpretation. So now I come to this speed. They are the 4 points which are not put in this form. So the Lordship is kind enough to do it. Now, the Lordship will read EF from this 2 paras only, from this note. That can be E and F of your Lordship. So EF and G in continuation, same section. This is on the width of entry 41 being larger than 309. Parameters 4. I. As far as the Agbert cadre for IAS and Danics are concerned, the power in respect of them relates to entry 70. And even there, as per applicable rules, the power to post and transfer within the government of NCT has been given to the elected government as per the rules. Thus, the rules have been framed with reference to 70 and do not have any impact in respect of entry 41. Now, this is the proposition I want to place double I. In any event, it is settled law that scope of directly covered, scope of 41 is broader than the power to frame rules under 309. The underlying basis of Elephant's argument is that I can make rules under 309, therefore I can get out of 41. 41 was kindly see. The Supreme Court, again ironically 4 learned judges. Justice Sarkaria speaking for 4 learned judges in Saxena's case. It is sufficient to read from here. 1976, 4 HCC 750, the bookmark is given there, need not go there. Para 32. It is well settled that entries in these legislative lists in Schedule 7 are to be construed in their widest possible amplitude, and each general word used in such entries must be held to comprehend ancillary or subsidiary matters. Thus, consider, it is clear from the scope of 41, there is some typo there, it should be that the scope, is wider than the matter of regulating the recruitment and conditions of services of public service under 309. This is enough because I submit from my point of view. The area of legislative competence, defined by entry 41 is far more comprehensive than that covered by the provisions of 309. By virtue of Articles 246, 309 read with entry 41 list 2, therefore the state legislature had legislative competence not only to change the service condition of state civil servants with retrospective effect, but also to validate with retroactive force invalid executive orders retiring the service. because such validating legislation must be regarded as subsidiary or auxiliary to the power of legislation of the subject of amendment. Clearly, Manus, they've held. Next paragraph. As such, merely because rules may have been made by the President under the proviso of 309, as indeed for the annex also, does not mean that the competence of NCT Assembly under entry 41 becomes displaced or vanishes. Unless your Lordship holds that 309 excludes all UTs. That's a different matter. Also note, Malus, the last point under this section, there's a proviso of 309, which is not so frequently noticed. I want to just emphasize the last 3 lines of that proviso as we end this section. 309 kindly come. They'll be also very important for legislatures like the UT or somebody else exercising legislative power. That's why 309 proviso is important. May I read for focus just the 4 lines and then I'll read the whole article. I'm not trying to avoid this. Just for focus, I'll read the 4 lines first. Just come to the very end of 309, the 4th last line. And the conditions of service of persons appointed to such services and posts until provision in that behalf is made by or under an act of the appropriate legislature under this article. An appropriate legislature will include a UT legislature. And any rules so made shall have effect subject to the provisions of such act. So 309 defers provisionally to the ultimate enactment by the legislature. Now read the whole article. Subject to the provisions of this constitution, acts of the appropriate legislature, again the same phrase, acts of the appropriate legislature, may regulate the recruitment and conditions of service of persons appointed to public services and posts in connection with the affairs of the Union or of any state, provided it shall be competent for the President or such person as he may direct in the case of services and posts in connection with the affairs of the Union, and for the governor of a state or such person as he may direct in the case of services and posts in connection with the affairs of the state, to make rules regulating the recruitment and the conditions of service of persons appointed to such services and posts until, that's the operative word from my perspective, provision in that behalf is made by or under an act of the appropriate legislature, etc. Well, this completes this section. I now go, Malas, to para 5. In respect of All India services, the statutory rules framed under the All India Services Act of 1951 will trump an executive notification issued by the central government, including the impugn notification. Impugn notification is purely executive letter. And the statutory rules clearly indicate that state shall include union territory. Rule 46(1) of the Transaction of Business Rules relied upon. Well, this a lot of time was spent. My short answer is Transaction of Business Rules is once you have something, how you allocate amongst that. It has no relevance to what you have or may not have. Rule 46 of the TBR makes it clear that with respect to persons serving in Delhi administration, the LG has to follow either the statutory rules framed in respect of services or has to follow any other presidential order and consult the Chief Minister if the order so provides under 239. The impugn notification, impugn in this case of 2015, in addition to seeking to exclude entry 41 from the legislative and executive care of the Delhi Assembly, purports to delegate certain powers of the central government to the LG. As per settled law, this will be subject to the extant rules already framed by the central government. What are those rules? In respect to the All India Services Rules, Parliament has enacted a law, and the central government has framed statutory rules under the power granted to it under 3(1) of the Act. Now, this act is important. This is something else I'll just show in a minute. 820, which my lord has seen, and bookmark 43 is the rules. 820 is the same 820, which your lordship saw just now in the morning. Rule 21C of the IAS Cadre rules, these rules, which your lordship has had in the previous slide, define state as including UT. The rules clearly indicate, should have rule 21C. The rules clearly indicate that once an officer is allocated to a particular state UT, transfers, postings within the state shall be the responsibility of the respective state UT. Well, as your lordship saw with me, para 41 to 46 of my opening submissions. I have quoted and relied on that rule. Rule 7, my lord remembers, and 11A. My lord remembers 7 and 11A. Those are those 41 to 46. I can show it or I can save time by reminding your lordship of 41, 46. It will save time. 7 and 11A are vital. They are dispositive in my humble and respectful submission. They are saying clearly that I shall be responsible. So one must kindly take 41 to 46 as read, and one is the quotation there of Rule 7 and 11A in particular. Further, it is settled law that statutory rules will trump an executive notification, which is the impugned notification. As such, the impugned notification clearly derogates from the statutory rules under the All India Services Act, which give power to transfer and posting in respect of Agmut and Danix to the elected government of NCT. The Supreme Court has reiterated this position and summarized the law. Well, as your lordship's judgment, paras are given. The impugned notification, I say, is liable to be struck down. Now, this, I believe, is a loose judgment, which will be handed over, is not in the compilation. It's given over already. Your lordship may note the paras. It clearly says, it's obvious proposition, that they in service matters, they have to give way to the act and the rules. That's what your lordship says here. And the relevant para in particular is 16, 17. Just to shorten the paras, especially 16, 17, it's well as a division bench authored by my lord Chief Justice. There is a small minor point before I come to the last part of the submissions. This is about Balakrishnan. This we done, dusted. We are not going into. Just note that para 6. Rejection of the Balakrishnan report has otherwise elsewhere been accepted by my learned friend. If I may say so, somewhat unwittingly, because that never came up. In the application for reference 19006 of 22, in para 63, he says that the majority has rejected Balakrishnan. I'm just leaving it. Not that it's going to be a.
I didn't accept. I read paragraph from the majority and your lordships that it is relied upon.
No, sir. I am saying something very different.
I didn't accept.
Your IA says in para 63, I'm only pointing that out. What it says, you can't change, I can't change. Affidavit given by your officer makes it very clear that the 2018 Constitution bench rejected the Balakrishnan report. Now, it's covered. Last 3 minutes now. Come to my today's note, the new additional rejoinder note. I made this submission, but we got the wrong citation yesterday towards the end of the day, so I've just quoted it. The point is, before your lordship goes into para 14 of my today's note, the additional rejoinder note. The point before that is important.
Which one?
Whereas now I am coming to my today's note, the additional rejoinder note, para 14.
आज का जो additional
Mr. Shah has got it titled in the context of the NCT.
So the additional rejoinder point, I have only para 12, up to para 12. Maybe mistakenly not.
14 is there.
Yeah, it's there at page 3.
Just hold on. I'm not raising any objection. I take a copy. The copy I received ends at para 12.
My lords has got it wrong.
No, on
Here.
I have got only up to para 12.
Well, that's what I also got up to whereas. Therefore, I just.
My deepest apology.
Now, hard copy I've got it.
This is vital for me. I don't know how your lordship, one journalist just got to the, you know, copy
Well,
now.
in the morning, so maybe by.
No, it is only there. Anyway, I've got it.
My apologies.
It's okay.
I'll send your lordship, the other one is already there.
Please do. Yeah.
Actually, Dr. Singhvi, you can read this para. I was also reflecting on it last night. See, the entirety of list 2, there's a legal fiction which we have to, as we always say, you shouldn't allow your mind to boggle. There is a legal fiction. There's a legal fiction in 239AA, as a result of which the entirety of list 2 of the 7th schedule is basically a concurrent power.
Is made like a concurrent.
Is made like a concurrent power in relation to the UT of Delhi. So Parliament can legislate on the entirety of list 2.
Just like the state can also, or the UT can
Right?
also.
So that's the effect of it. Now, if Parliament can legislate with the entirety of list 2 in addition to list 1 and list 3, then Parliament has the power to legislate under entry 41 of list 2 also. Now, if Parliament has the legislative power on entry 41 of list 2, then there is no reason to take recourse to entry 97. You take
That's the short point I am making.
you take recourse to entry 97 and article 248, which
Not
is
wrong.
residuary power, where there is no provision elsewhere.
Very great respect, but I can't put it more pithily.
Because both the judgment in Dillon's case,
Which is
has been
cited-
followed,
which I
which was
quoted.
followed in
Dillon is cited.
Pritlal's case here, it says that in deciding as to whether Parliament has legislative competence, you ask yourself only one question. Is there any entry in list 2 which covers the field? If there is an entry in list 2, then Parliament has no legislative
respect.
power.
That is that.
If there is no entry in list 2, then Parliament has to have power either under list 1 or list 3 or entry 97. That's Dillon.
That's
That's the residual power.
That's right.
But here, Parliament undoubtedly has powers on entry 41 of list 2 because of the
It's a
fact that
concurrent
it's
list.
power.
It's a concurrent, and therefore, just it will take less than 2 minutes. What your lordship has put, very interesting, Dillon, from two perspectives. One the negative, one the positive. I'll give it 2 cases. Just give me 2 minutes of that. I've missed out para 13, which I'll come to after. Just come to 14 first.
Yes.
Just, it's one para each, your lordship need not go to the judgment. Just read from here. Be that as it may, I'm straight away coming to this. This is the reverse. In my favor, but in the reverse context. Just read it. In my favor, reverse context. Be that as it may, it is not necessary to pursue this line of reasoning since we are in total agreement with the approach evolved in Dillon. A decision by a constitutional bench of 7 judges, the test evolved in the said decision is where the competence of Parliament to enact a particular statute is questioned, comma, exactly what my Lord Chief Justice said. One must look at the several entries in list 2 to find out, applying the well-known principles in this behalf, including expansive reading, whether the said statute is relatable to any of those entries. If the statute does not relate to any of the entries in list 2, no further inquiry is necessary. That's why it's a reverse context. It must be held that Parliament is competent to enact a statute, whether by list 1, list 3 or 97. Now read the next sentence. In this case, it is not even suggested that either of the two enactments in question are relatable to any entry in list 2. The opposite of my case. There cannot be an entry clearer than 41 on the subject we are discussing. Now see, the recent judgment to which my Lord Justice Shah was a party in the reverse direction, holding just the opposite, in my favor again, but in the context is reverse. This is 2022, citation is given there. But the question is whether, while interpreting entry 40 of list 1, alongside 34 and 62 of list 2, power to tax lotteries organized by the Government of India or the government of a state is also taken away from entry 62 of list 2 and is to be read within the ambit of entry 40 of list 1. And therefore, the states of Karnataka and Kerala in the instant cases had no competence to enact the include acts. We have already stated that only lotteries organized by the Government of India or the government of a state is carved out of the subject betting and gambling in list 2, entry 34 is list 2 months. It's carved out of betting and gambling in entry 34 list 2 and is placed in entry 40, only that part. Entry 62, inter alia speaks of tax on betting and gambling. But that we do not think by that the state legislature has been denuded of their power to levy tax under 62 of list 2 on lotteries organized by the government of India or the government of state. We say so for the following reasons. Now, sixth reason. Entry 97 can be invoked only when any matter is not enumerated in list 2 or list 3. It's in the affirmative, in the other direction. Including any tax not mentioned in the said lists. There is no specific entry for levy of tax on betting and gambling in list 1. That's why entry 97 can't come in. It is only in entry 62, then your lordship goes on. I don't want to read the whole of it. So, this is clearly settled. Last point, before I end, para 13, the para just above this. That's all. Para 30, 1-3, I have said it orally many times. I put it in writing, something in his favor. I've already said it many times.
Para 3.
1-3.
1-3. Of
Just
yesterday.
the preceding para of what I've just
okay.
immediately preceding. And that is why, the issue is a very narrow one. It doesn't actually, should not cause any heartburn to anybody. Kindly see this. The scheme of 239AA provides adequate checks and balances for protection of national interests in the NCT of Delhi. This has been repeated so many times, capital NCT Delhi. Look at this, fellas. The Constitution provides. What more protection can Lordship give than give Parliament the entire list 2 as a concurrent list? Can a Lordship give any more protection, Manas? The boss is Parliament, if I may use colloquial words, Manas. Nobody is denying that. The issue is absent Parliament exercising contrary power, contrary legislative power. Somebody in the concurrent list can't exercise the same power, in this case a UT. That's the issue. Now read this. A conjoint reading of 239AA 3 and 4 posits that the conscious scheme adopted by Parliament in exercise of its constituent power, that is by constitutional amendment, is that the legislative power and concomitant coextensive executive power of the NCT, obviously not concerned with those 6 entries, can be legislatively overridden by Parliament. It's as simple as that. All this was national security, capital of India, nothing. Parliament needs to make a law or an existing law needs to be applied to trump the exercise of power by the Assembly of NCT. I am saying this. He is not saying it, I am saying it. With deepest humility, Manas. Your Lordship is given a picture as if somebody is hijacking the national capital. Then, Union is seeking to obliterate. Now, this is very important. This is a nuance. It's a jurisprudential nuance which I am submitting for Lordship's kind consideration. There is a difference between Parliament and the central government. My problem is my learned friend is reading Parliament to be the central government. That is my problem. That is where the nub of the problem arises. Parliament, your Lordship, has given power to trump everything. He says central government should trump. What is happening in this case? The notification impugned is a central government notification. That is not Parliament. Please exercise your parliamentary power. The Union is seeking to obliterate the distinction between Parliament and central government. Under the present scheme, the Assembly of NCT has full play in any unoccupied field of an entry in list 2. Acceptance of the Union argument and upholding of the impugned notification would effectively endow the Union government with an executive override. Your Lordship gives him parliamentary override. He gives to himself executive override by the impugned notification, which I have said is nothing more than adding 41 to 1, 2 and 18 by executive order. That's the simple nub of this case. Endow the Union government with an executive override over the Assembly of NCT. This is clearly opposed to the fundamental scheme of 239AA. It must be borne in mind that both legislative and executive checks that govern the exercise of power. 1. The entire list 2 for NCT effectively works as a concurrent list. Exactly what my Lord just observed. I am saying so myself. And this, I say, what I am saying is, of course, subject to my Lord's, harmonizes the whole thing. What he says, will create a discordance. Because executive override of Parliament, of central government, can never be envisaged with a parliamentary override. The entire list for the NCT effectively works as a concurrent list. If any law made by Assembly is in conflict with a parliamentary law, The same can be reserved for consideration of the President. That's another Lordship knows concurrent list procedures. Further, in terms of the functioning of the executive, there's a difference power to refer. That's a separate one. Let's not get into that. Well, I only remains for me to thank your Lordships for a very patient hearing for both of us, respective constraints. May I end, Malas, in pre-independence times, Malas, long before independence, Malas. The British still used to call it the Indian Civil Service. So, well, Nehru made a very interesting comment. He says, it is neither Indian, nor civil, nor a service.
At that time.
Well, as my submission is that at the end of this case, it is vital for your Lordships to demarcate black and white the powers. Otherwise, well, as it will be either less of a service or less of civil, it will remain Indian. Deeply obliged.
Thank you.
Mulad, immensely, Mulad, for more than patient hearing.
Thank you, Mr.
We are
President.
immensely grateful. All your.
I've done it within 1 hour, Malas. I want to repeat that.
No, you
Get
captured
some
your
brownie
thought
points
one
for
hour.
this.
It was a learning experience, Mulad.
Thank you, Mr. Lister. Thank you, Dr. Singh.
Thank you, everybody.
Very deeply obliged.
We'll take the mentioning.
Yes.
Good morning, guys. Welcome to Ashok IT. So this is Ashok. Today we are here to discuss about what is unit testing, why we need to perform unit testing, what is JUnit, what are the advantages of going for JUnit, and what is JUnit 5 architecture, and how to develop our applications and perform unit testing by using JUnit 5. Then we'll talk about what is mocking, why we need to go for mocking, and how to implement mocking as part of unit testing. Then, if time permits, we will see code coverage also by using Jacoco. Before getting started, please confirm, is my voice and screen clear for everyone? Guys, please confirm in the chat box. Is my voice clear for everybody? Good. Perfect. Now, guys, after this session completed, so I will give you the notes that what I am writing during this session and the examples that I am using as part of this workshop. I will share those details in our Telegram channel. So I have given the link for Telegram channel in the chat box. You can join in our Telegram channel so that after the workshop completed, you will get the workshop details like notes, examples, everything I will share in this Telegram channel. You can join in that. So could you please join in that channel? All of you able to join? Please confirm if you are able to join. Please confirm if you are able to join in that. Yes, not able to join. The people who are not able to join, just open your Telegram app and you can search with @Ashok IT official. You will get our Telegram channel. Its name is Ashok IT. You can join in that. Open Telegram app. In the Telegram app, top right side, you have search option. There you just type @Ashok IT official. So that is our official Telegram channel. You can see 2,500 subscribers are there. So you join in that channel so that after this class completed, you will get the class notes and classroom examples. Good. All of you completed. Quick. Link also I have given in the chat box. You can click on that link or else you can just open the app and you can search for Ashok IT official. You will see our Telegram channel. You can join in that so that you will get the class details, class notes, examples, everything you will get. Yeah, YouTube live is also available for this. Completed, guys. I don't see people are joining. Only 30 people joined. Only 30 people joined in that Telegram channel. Ashok IT official, @Ashok IT official. You can see Ashok IT channel. 2,600 subscribers are there. You can join in that. After the session, you will get the classroom data in that channel. Right, guys, it's not Ashok IT group, it's Ashok IT channel. @Ashok IT official, if you type, you will get our channel. You can see 2,600 subscribers. That is our institute official channel, guys. No other channel is there for us. All right, perfect. Shall we get started? Good. All right, let's get started. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Ashok IT. So today we are here to discuss about what is JUnit and what is the purpose of JUnit and how to perform unit testing by using JUnit and Mockito. Good. What is our agenda? First, we'll talk about what is unit testing. Then we'll talk about why we need to go for unit testing. Then we will see what is JUnit. Then JUnit 5 introduction. JUnit 5 architecture. Then we will develop several examples to perform unit testing by using that JUnit 5. Then next we'll go for mocking, which is very important in the real-time projects. Then we are going to see how to perform unit testing for Spring Boot REST API. Then if time permits, we will see how to measure code coverage also for our application by using Jacoco. Can you please see the agenda? What we are going to learn from this workshop? What is unit testing? Why unit testing? What is JUnit? JUnit 5 introduction, JUnit 5 architecture, unit testing examples, mocking, REST API unit testing, code coverage using Jacoco. Are you guys clear with agenda? What you are going to learn from this workshop today? All of you comfortable with that? Good. Now let's get started. First guys, what is unit testing and why we need to go for unit testing? So first of all, what is this unit testing? Unit testing is a type of software testing where individual units or components of a software are tested. Now, so as a programmer, we are going to develop applications. As part of the applications development, we are going to create several classes. In the classes, we are going to create several methods. Now, whenever you develop a class with several methods, it is your responsibility to test whether those methods are working as expected or not. So as a developer, your duty is not only just writing the code. Once you have written the code, you need to make sure that code is working as expected. So the process of testing whether our logic is working as expected or not is called as unit testing. Unit testing. Unit is nothing but a individual component where we are going to test that component. Suppose you will write a method in the controller. Controller method will call service layer method. Service layer method will call DAO method. DAO method will interact with the database. Okay, here, so the layered architecture we are following to develop our application. So once you complete your DAO method, you first test that DAO method. Is that DAO method working as expected or not? If I give this input, are we getting this output or not? So that is called individual component testing. That is called individual component testing. Unit testing is one of the software testing where individual units or components of a software are tested. Now, what is the purpose of this unit testing? The purpose is to validate that each unit of the software code performs as expected. So whenever you complete one method implementation, you need to check whether that method is working as expected or not. The process of checking whether that method is working as expected or not is called as unit testing. Good. Now, who is going to perform unit testing? Sir, in the company, software testers will be available, software developers will be available. I am thinking that developers will just write the code, testers are going to test that code. No, you are wrong. So as a developer, after completion of the coding, you are responsible to test that code also. Unit testing is done during the development. Whenever you are doing the coding, parallelly you will perform unit testing. Who is responsible to perform that unit testing? Developers are responsible to perform unit testing. When we are going to perform that unit testing is done during the development. Whenever you are doing the coding, at that time only you will perform the unit testing to check whether your component is working as expected or not. Unit tests isolate a section of code and verify its correctness. Now, your controller method is there. Your controller method will talk to service method. But as part of unit testing, you will test only controller method behavior. You don't bother about the service method. Service method is a separate component. Service method will talk to DAO component, that is a separate. So you are going to test independent component or individual component. You are going to do individual component testing, that is called unit testing. A unit may be an individual function, or it may be a method, or it may be a procedure, it may be a module, or it can be an object. A unit can be anything. A method you can call as a unit, a function you can call as a unit, a procedure you can call as a unit, a module you can call as a unit, or one object also you can call as a unit. So guys, please go through these points here. First one, what is unit testing? Unit testing is a type of software testing where individual units of the application are tested. Individual component of the application testing is called as unit testing. What is the main purpose of unit testing? It is used to verify and validate the correctness of our program. Whatever the code you have written, 10 lines of code in one method. Those 10 lines are working as expected or not, we are going to test. That is called as unit testing. Who is going to perform the unit testing? Developers are going to perform the unit testing at the time of development only. Sir, then what testers will do? We'll come to that point also. First, we are developers, all we are developers. So we are going to understand what is our responsibility. Later point of time, I will tell you what is the responsibility of the software testers. Are you getting my point? Who is responsible to perform unit testing, guys? Could you please respond in the chat box? Who is responsible to perform unit testing? Testers are responsible for unit testing, or developers are responsible for unit testing? Testers are responsible for unit testing, or developers are responsible for unit testing? Developers are responsible for unit testing. When we are going to perform that unit testing? After completion of the development, or parallelly along with the development, we are going to perform unit testing? During the development phase only, we are going to perform the unit testing. Now, what is a unit? A unit can be an individual function, or it's a method, or it's a procedure, or it's a module, or it can be a object also. Guys, are you clear with what is unit testing? I hope you like my PPT. I spent a lot of time on preparing this. Generally, I use it to write on the notepad, but today I'm trying with a PPT. So see how it works. Is it clear, guys? Good, good. Next one. Now, let us see here. Let us see here. I'm developing one simple application, guys. Now, here I am having a login page. Here I'm having a login page, my UI. And here I am having one controller. Whenever you click the button in the login page, it will go to controller. In my application, one Spring MVC controller is available, which is responsible for handling the request, which is coming from the UI. And for the business logic, I am writing service layer. I'm writing a service layer for business logic. And for persistence layer, I am writing one repository or DAO. You can call it as a DAO, or you can call it as a repository to perform our DB operations. Finally, here my database is available. So when user is trying to log in, he will enter username password in the login page, and he will click on login button. Then request will come to controller component. Controller will capture that form data and will call service layer method. Service layer method is going to call the if password encryptions decryptions concept is there, it will execute those logics. Then service layer method is going to talk to DAO method. DAO method will talk to database to verify given credentials are valid or not. So this is a regular general use case that everybody will see in the project. Login page implementation. Now, if you see here in the login page button, when you click on that login page button, request is going to controller. Inside the controller, we will have one method. Let me take that method name as login method. Let me take that method name as a login method. Now, in the service layer also, one method is available. Login check method is available. Login check method is available. Some method name. So for time being, let me take it as a M2 method. I don't have a space, guys. I'm using M2, but in the real time, we don't use M1, M2s. So we'll write a appropriate method name, login check method, something like that. We are going to write in the service layer. Then here in the DAO layer, I will try to get the user record find by. I'm going to write some find by method. It will take username and password. It will try to fetch the record from the database based on the given values. Now, if you see, several components are available for this requirement. Login page, which is a UI, it can be a Angular or it can be a React or it can be a JSP. Login page is available where my user interface logic is available. When end user click on that button, request will come to controller. Controller will capture the form data. Then it will give the data to service layer. Service layer will execute some business logic. Suppose passwords we are going to store in the DB with encrypted format. Now the service layer method will encrypt the password which is given by the user. Then with the email ID and password, it is going to call the DAO method. Then the DAO method will try to fetch the record from the table with the given email ID and password. So if the credentials are available, then user login will be success. If the credentials are not available in the table, user login is going to fail. So this is our development. Now you are the developer of this requirement. In the company, you got this requirement in your project and you are working on this requirement. Then what you will do, in the controller, you have written one method. In the service layer, you have written one method. And in the DAO also, you have written one method. So total 3 methods are available. That means 3 units are available. Controller method is 1 unit. Service layer method is 1 unit. DAO layer method is 1 unit. Now, as a developer, if you just write the code and give it to the testers, can you guarantee that the code is going to work as expected for all the positive and negative scenarios? Without testing, can you give this code to the tester and ask them to test it? As a developer, after completion of your coding, if you directly give the code to the testers for testing, testers will perform drainage cleaning activity, not the software testing. It will be something like a drainage cleaning activity for them. You have written the code. You have written the code. 3 methods are there. Whether methods are going to work or methods are not going to work, who knows? You have just written the code. In one method 10 lines, in another method 10 lines, in another method 10 lines. You have written 30 lines of code. If you give that code directly to the testing team, they will perform a testing or they need to perform drainage cleaning activity. They need to perform drainage cleaning activity because your code is going to work or not, nobody will know. So before going to give that code to the tester, you need to test your logic first. You are the developer. You know what is the requirement. You know what is the code you have written. So you have to make sure whatever the code you have written, that is working as per the requirement. Once you have done your testing, then you can give quality code to the tester. Then again, they are going to test it. So they are not going to perform unit testing. Testers are going to perform system integration testing. You need to perform unit testing. Unit testing means what? Whatever the method you have written, whatever the method you have written in the controller, you need to check whether this method is working as expected or not. It is one individual unit. It is one individual unit. And you need to check service layer method is working or not. It is one individual unit. You need to test a service layer method also. And you need to test a DAO layer method. It is one individual unit. A unit can be anything. It can be a function, or it can be a method, it can be an object, or it can be a module. So the process of testing individual units of software application is called as unit testing. Can you repeat, guys, once again? What is unit testing? The process of testing individual unit of the application is called as unit testing. Who is going to perform the unit testing? Developers are going to perform the unit testing. Developers are responsible for the unit testing. Why you need to perform the unit testing? To verify whatever the code you have written, is that code working as expected or not? Is your code satisfying the given requirement or not? You need to verify. After, whenever you are doing the coding, you need to verify your code is working as expected or not. So what is the advantage of this unit testing? If you perform the unit testing, you can identify the bugs in your code at the earlier stage only. At the early stage only, you can identify the bugs which are available in your code. You can fix those bugs and you can give quality code to the testers. Suppose if I give a code to the testers, testers identified 10 bugs in my code, then what impression they will get on me? Arey, Ashok don't know how to write the code. That's why these many bugs are available in his code. So you will get a negative impression. If a tester is finding 10 bugs in your functionality, that means you are not doing the quality development. You are not a developer proper. You are not a good developer. You are a bad developer. You don't know quality. Now, second scenario. I have done the coding, I have tested, I have performed unit testing on my components. I am sure my components are working as expected. Then I have provided my code to the testers. Testers are not able to find the bug in my code because I only tested, I only identified, I only fixed it. I have given quality code to the tester. Then what they will think? Yaar, bug pakarna bahut mushkil hai bhai, because he is a quality developer. Are you getting my point, sir? The difference between the code which is tested, the code which is not tested. Always you need to give the challenge to the testers to find a bug in your code. They should feel difficult in finding the bug in your code. Then your quality comes into picture. Then you will get good impression. Then the testing team should think, hey, can we find a bug in the Ashok's functionality? I'm trying from morning. I'm not getting a single bug in the code. What he has done. So such a kind of discussion should happen in the testing team. Then you are called as a quality developer. I have given the code to the tester. Within 1 hour, they find 10 bugs. What happened? What happened, guys? They will play a jokes on us. Arey, he's a developer. He has given the code today. I identified 10 bugs. Then a tester will get that credit, not the developer. If a tester is finding 10 bugs in your development, if a tester finding 10 bugs in your development, you are great or tester is great? Come on, guys, please tell me. You are great or tester is great? You are stupid. You are stupid. Tester is great. That credit will go to the tester. Now think a scenario. I have given one functionality for the testing team today. Registration functionality. They testing from morning onwards. They did not find a single bug. That means tester is great or developer is great? Developer is great. Developer is great. So always we need to challenge to the testers to find the bugs. When you can challenge the testers to find a bug? When we will give challenge to the testers to find a bug? If you have done the proper unit testing of your code, then you can challenge the testers. Hey, today I am giving the code to testing. If you can find the bugs, please find out. That is how you need to challenge the testers in the project. If you challenge the tester, they will take it serious. They will try to find out the bug. Then project quality will be improved. Project quality will be improved. So once you have just completed the coding, immediately don't give to the testing. If without doing unit testing, if you give the code to the testing, that means you are spoiling your career in the project. They will get negative impression on you. That will be escalated to your manager also. Sir, what is this testing? Every time when he is giving the code, we are getting 10 bugs in the functionality. So we are not liking this approach. They will escalate that to your higher management people. So that's why always developer should be responsible to make sure that code is working as expected. So when you can confirm that your code is working as expected, if you perform the unit testing. What is unit testing? The process of testing individual unit of your application is called as unit testing. Developer is responsible to perform that unit testing. When we will perform the unit testing we will perform along with the development. Whenever you are doing the coding, immediately you will perform the unit testing. Do you know in the real time how people will do the unit testing? Now, generally in my company project, as you all know that I am working for a company right now. So in my real time project where I am doing the coding in the company, what is the best practice I follow? You know, first if I write a DAO layer method, once my DAO layer method is completed, immediately I will write the unit testing logic for the DAO. So whatever I write, I will test it first. After the DAO implementation and testing is completed, then only I will write the service layer method. Once the service layer method implementation completed, immediately I will write the unit testing for the service layer. Similarly, once I write the controller method, I will write the unit testing for the controller method. So that is how we will maintain the quality of the code. That is how we are going to maintain quality of the code. Come on, guys. Are you getting my point now? So don't just read the PPT, guys. Actually, I don't like the PPTs. I want to explain in the notepad and notes that I'm habituated to that process. But for a change, today I tried a PPT, but just I'm playing the PPT, reading the English, it doesn't give you confidence. That's the reason I'm explaining in the Paint also. Now, can you read these points once? So can you check? Are you able to understand each point which is there in the PPT? Can you check it? Unit testing is a type of software testing where individual units or components of a software are tested. The purpose is to validate that each unit of the software code performs as expected. Unit testing is done during the development of an application by the developers. That means whenever you are doing the coding, parallelly, you need to perform that unit testing also. Unit test isolates a section of code and verify its correctness. Isolation, that term is important here, guys. Now, why I'm saying that isolation is controller is talking to service, but whenever you are doing the unit testing, you will test only controller method. You don't test the service method. That is called isolation testing. Even though your method is talking to other class method, we don't care about it. We will first test the functionality of this method. That is called isolation testing to verify correctness of this method. Good. Unit test isolates a section of code and verify its correctness. Then, what is a unit? A unit may be an individual function or a method or a procedure or module or object. It can be anything that you are going to test. That is called as one unit. The unit you are going to test to make sure it is working as expected or not. Guys, are you comfortable with what is unit testing? If somebody asks you in the interview, what is unit testing? Are you in the position to explain what is unit testing now? I want you to get that crystal clear clarity. Crystal clear clarity. Come on, good. Now the question is, sir, fine, we are good with the definition. What is unit testing? Why unit testing? Who will perform the unit testing? The next question is, sir, how to perform this unit testing? How to perform this unit testing? Guys, unit testing we can perform in two ways. One is manual unit testing. Second one is automated unit testing. One is manual unit testing. Second one is automation unit testing. What is manual unit testing? You will go to that method. You will execute that method. You will see how that method is working. Or we know debugging technique. You can use that debugging technique also to perform unit testing. In the debugging, you can execute your program line by line. So guys, do you know debugging? I asked in every batch to watch my debugging video, which is there in the YouTube. That process is used to understand how the program is executing line by line. That is one way where you can test your methods. But nowadays, we are going to use automated unit testing in the projects. Why we are going to use that automation testing? It will save our time. It will save our time. Good. Now, how we will perform that automated unit testing? We have one powerful framework in the Java that is called JUnit. We have one powerful framework in the Java that is called JUnit. What is this JUnit? JUnit is a free and open source unit testing framework for Java applications. Now, we all are the Java developers here. We are developing Java applications. If you want to perform automated unit testing for Java applications, we can use one framework which is available in the market that is called JUnit. JUnit is a free and open source unit testing framework for Java applications. Guys, come on, tell me what is JUnit now? Can you please tell me what is JUnit now? What is JUnit? JUnit is a free and open source unit testing framework for Java applications. Right. JUnit was developed by Kent Beck and Erich Gamma. These people are authors of our JUnit. These people are authors of our JUnit. Kent Beck and Erich Gamma, these people are provided JUnit framework for us. JUnit framework for us. Good. Now, its first version was released in 1997. My God. 2007 completed, 2017 completed, almost 24 years back, this JUnit came into the market. Its first version was released in 1997. It was developed by Kent Beck and Erich Gamma. This JUnit is a open source and free framework which is used for Java applications. Good. It became one of the most popular testing frameworks in the Java community due to its ease of use. That means it is easy to use. That's why it became one of the most popular testing frameworks in the Java community. Nowadays, if you ask 100 Java developers, hey, which framework you are using to perform unit testing? No second thought, they will say JUnit. If you ask any Java developer who is working in the company, how you are performing unit testing, immediately they will say that JUnit, because that much demand is there for the JUnit. That much demand is there for JUnit. What is JUnit? JUnit is a free and open source unit testing framework for Java applications. JUnit was developed by Kent Beck and Erich Gamma. Its first version was released in 1997. It became one of the most popular testing frameworks in the Java community due to its ease of use. Ease of use means it is easy to use. That is the reason it became more popular. Good. Next one. It's lightweight testing framework which allowed Java developers to write unit test cases in Java language. Sir, if I want to work with JUnit, do I need to learn any other programming language? No, JUnit framework itself is developed in the Java. You are going to write a Java language program only to perform the unit testing. Now, what does that mean? So if you see here, first I am going to write one method in my DAO. So as a Java developer, we are going to write the Java code in the DAO method. Suppose I'm going to write that method public user find by email and password. I will pass string email and string password. So this is my method that I'm going to write in my repository or in my DAO. Here I will write db logic to retrieve a record. Okay, if record present, if that record is present, then I'm going to return that user object. If that record is present in the table, then I'm going to return that user object. If that record is not present, then I can throw some exception called no data found exception, or I can return some null value. The record is not available, user is giving invalid credentials and is trying to log in. Now, as the record is not present in the database, I'm going to return a null value from this method. This is my DAO method. It is in the Java. It is a Java program. Now I want to perform unit testing for this method by using JUnit. Then what you will do? Are you going to write that unit testing logic in any other programming language? No, we are going to write test find by email and password. This is my method where I will write unit testing logic using JUnit. So JUnit is a Java framework. Now we have one method which is called a business method. That method contains some business logic. Now I want to perform unit testing for that method. To perform the unit testing for that method, I will write another method. So one method contains the actual logic, another method contains the logic to test that actual logic. So this is called our JUnit method. I'm going to write a JUnit method which is going to test the behavior of your actual method. So that is what the last point is saying here. It's a lightweight testing framework which allowed Java developers to write unit test cases in the Java language. So first you will write a business method by using Java. For that business method, you will write the unit test method also by using Java. So that's why it is easy to use for the developers. You are going to work with Java only. For business implementation, you are using Java. To test that business implementation, again you are using Java. Got my point, guys? What is the current version of JUnit? The current version of JUnit is 5.x. So JUnit 5th version is running in the market. JUnit 5th version running in the market. Now, could you please read these points once? What is JUnit? JUnit is a free and open source unit testing framework for Java applications. JUnit was developed by Kent Beck and Erich Gamma. The first version of JUnit got released in 1997, almost 24 years back. It became one of the most powerful testing frameworks in the Java community due to its ease of use. That means it is easy to use. It is a lightweight testing framework which allowed Java developers to write unit test cases in Java language. The current version of JUnit is 5. Guys, could you please read these points? What is JUnit? I hope these points are easy to understand. Come on. So with this, we understood two important things. First one is what is unit testing, and the second one, what is JUnit. Are you guys clear with this one? Now, so before going to start with this JUnit 5 architecture, first I will develop a simple application by using JUnit 4. Then I will tell you how it is working. Then we will see what is this JUnit 5 and what are the new changes that implemented in this JUnit 5. Are you guys comfortable with this theoretical part? What is unit testing? Why unit testing? What is JUnit and why this is JUnit became popular in the market? So once again, 2 minutes just revise, then we will jump into our program. Unit testing is a type of software testing where individual units of the components are tested. The purpose is to validate that each unit of the software code performs as expected. Unit testing is done during the development of an application by the developers. Unit test isolates a section of code and verify its correctness. Unit can be anything. It can be a function or method or module or object. That unit testing can be done in two ways. One is manual unit testing. Second one is automated unit testing. Manual unit testing means normally you will call the method and you will see the behavior. You can use a debugging technique also to perform that. But today in this workshop, we are talking about automated unit testing. So how you are going to perform automated unit testing? By using JUnit. Who provided this JUnit? What is this JUnit? JUnit is a free and open source unit testing framework available for Java applications. It was developed by Kent Beck and Erich Gamma. Its first version was released in 1997. It became one of the most powerful testing frameworks in the Java community because it is easy to use. It is a lightweight framework which allowed Java developers to write unit test cases in Java language. What is the current version of JUnit? The current version of JUnit is 5.x. Good. Now, let's create one simple application and let's try to write our first unit test method by using JUnit. For the first application, I am using JUnit 4, guys. After that, I will show you JUnit 5 also. This workshop main agenda to work on JUnit 5. Are you guys good? Can we start the program now? Theoretically, I hope you are comfortable. What is unit testing and what is JUnit? Perfect. Now, let me go to this. workspace, guys. I'm creating one small project, new project, new project. I'm going to take Maven project Maven as a build tool I'm taking, so that we no need to download the dependency. We just need to add the dependency in the pom.xml. Create a simple project, skip archetype selection. So a standalone Java project will be created. So group ID, I'm using this as in.ashok IT, artifact ID 01 JUnit 4 app. 01 JUnit 4 app I'm using. Then click on finish. Click on finish. Yep, our project got created. Go to pom.xml file. This is a Maven configuration file where we can configure dependencies for our application. Okay, now let's go to mvnrepository.com. Let's go to mvnrepository.com and find out dependency for JUnit. So let's type JUnit dependency. Yeah, so here guys, JUnit Jupyter is available. So this is JUnit Jupyter is from JUnit 5. If you want to work with below 5th version of JUnit, then I'm taking simple JUnit here. Now, so here 4.13 in Feb 2021, this version got released. 4.13.2. Now let's copy this dependency. Let's add this dependency in the pom.xml. So write dependencies. Good. I have added a dependency for JUnit 4.x version. Now, when I add this dependency, I configured group ID, artifact ID, version, scope. So version, this represents which version of the JUnit framework you want to use in your project, 4.13.2. Scope is test. That means when this Maven dependency should be included in the build path or in the class path. When this dependency should be included in the class path, that is what the meaning of the scope. I'm configuring the scope as a test. That means what? This dependency should be included when unit testing is happening. When the Maven test goal is executing, then this dependency should be added in the class path. So in the project batch, I have discussed about Maven scopes. So here we are configuring test scope for the JUnit. That means this dependency should be included in the class path in the testing phase of the application. When the Maven test goal is executing, then this dependency should be added to the class path. Are you guys able to understand? Are you guys able to understand what is the scope of the dependency? Only when the test cases are running, this dependency should be added to the class path of our application. Perfect. Now let me take one simple Java class called calculator, guys. Our intention is not what the class we are developing. Our intention is how to write our first application by using JUnit. So I'm taking one class with a name called calculator. I'm writing one simple method called add method. Public integer add. Here I'm taking two parameters, integer a comma integer b. I'm taking two methods, integer a comma integer b. So simply return a plus b. So this is my business method, which is going to perform sum of two numbers. Now I want to check whether this method is working as expected or not. Now I want to test whether this method is working as expected or not. So generally, to test this method behavior, what we will do? We will create one myapp class and we'll create a main method. In that we'll create the object and we'll call the method myapp. Okay. In this class, I'm writing one main method. Here, I'm creating object for our calculator, which you want to test. What is our class? Which class we want to test? I'm creating object for that class. Calculator calc is equal to new calculator. Then calc dot add method 10 comma 20. So I'm calling this method. I'm getting some result. I'm printing that result on the console. System dot out dot println of result. Okay, it's a normal manually. Manually, I'm writing a program and I am testing whether that add method working as expected or not. 10 and 20, I am passing as input for the add method. I'm getting 30 as the output. Now I want to see if I pass 10 comma 30, am I getting 40 or not? Yes, I'm getting. So that means my method is working as expected or not. Come on guys, add method is working as expected or not? Add method is working as expected or not? Yes, it's working, but manually we are creating this method and we are executing this method and we are checking the result. I don't want to go for this approach. I want to perform unit testing of this add method by using JUnit. Come on, can we perform that unit testing by using JUnit, guys? Hello, can you hear me? Please respond, please respond. If you people don't respond, I will lose my interest to take this workshop. So if you are responding to my questions, then I will get energy, then I will give you more subject, then I will give you good subject. Got it? So I want you to respond to my questions in the chat. Okay, the people watching from YouTube, you people also should respond to the questions, guys. You can type in the YouTube chat or you can connect with me in the Zoom also, no issue. Good. Perfect. Perfect. Now I want to perform unit testing for this method by using JUnit. Can anyone tell me what is JUnit? Can anyone tell me what is JUnit? Our haters started, they are disliking our video. Funny. Yes. What is JUnit, guys? This is an open source unit testing framework which is used for Java applications. So it was released in the 1997. It was developed by Erich Gamma, Kent Beck and Erich Gamma. The current version of the JUnit is 5 in the market. Good, perfect. Now already I have added JUnit dependency in the pom.xml file. Now I want to perform unit testing for the calculator. Guys, observe, Maven is a build tool which suggests best practices for the development. Now if you see Maven project folder structure, SRC main Java is available, SRC test Java is available. So what does it mean? The main Java classes which you are writing the business logic for your application should be available in main Java folder. The main Java classes which you are writing for your application should be available in the main Java folder. The classes which you are developing for unit testing should be available in the test Java folder. This is one of the best practice we need to follow in the development. Java classes which are responsible for business logic should be available in the main Java folder. The Java classes which are responsible for unit testing should be available in the test Java folder. Good. Now calculator is our main target class where the add method is available. We want to perform unit testing of that method. Right. For that, I'm going to create a test class in the test Java folder, new class. Here we need to follow some naming conventions, guys. in.ashokit.beans.test. Now, which class we are testing? Calculator class we are testing. We are testing calculator class. So I'm writing the class name as calculator test. So by looking at the class name, you should understand what this class is doing. What is the purpose of this class? What is the significance of this class in the project? I'm writing this class. So tomorrow, when other developer look at this class name, they should be able to understand what this class is going to do. So we need to improve readability of our code. If I write a class with a name called demo, will it work or not? If I keep the class name as demo, is it going to work or not? It will work, but readability is there or not? Readability is not there. After 1 month, if you look at this demo class, आप ही गाली देते हैं, ए कौन है भाई, इसका class name क्यों लिखते हो भाई? You don't understand. After 1 month, you can't remember that. Why you have created this demo class? After 1 month, you can't remember which you developed. How other developers can understand the purpose of your class? They need to open your class. They need to see what is the logic in that. They need to understand. So why to create that problem? So that's why maintain proper naming conventions so that the readability of your program will be improved. Calculator test. By looking at this class, you can easily understand that this class is used to perform the unit testing for calculator class. So that readability is available in the class name. Come on, guys. If I write test1, is there any use? Is there any readability there? Nothing. So whenever you are creating classes, please use proper names for the classes. So what that class is doing, that functionality should be reflected in the name of the class. Good. And remember, the JUnit classes we are going to write inside test Java folder. We are going to write them in the test Java folder. Test Java represents the Java classes which are used for testing. Main Java, the main business logic will be main business logic classes will be available in the main Java folder. Test classes will be available in the test Java folder. Click on finish. Yes, perfect. My class is created. As of now, it is a normal Java class. Can I say it is a normal Java class? Yes, it is a normal Java class. Good. Now I'm writing one method, public void test. Which method? Add method. See the method name also. See the method name also. I can write the method name as a M1. Is it a valid name for the method M1? As per Java naming conventions or as per Java standards, M1 is a valid name for the method or not? Yes. Java programmers are having the flexibility to use anything as a method name. Java developers are having flexibility to use anything as a method name, but you need to maintain readability. What this method is doing, why are you creating this method? To perform the testing for the add method. So let's write it as test add or add test, whatever it is. You can write a test add or you can write add test, whatever it is. So when somebody look at your method, they should understand what it is going to do, right? Add test or test add method. Some people will write a test underscore add to improve the readability. Test is the name, underscore add. That means it is a test method for add method available in the calculator class. Are you guys clear with this method name? Yeah, but personally, I don't suggest to use underscores. Code review will identify that you are not following the proper naming conventions. Good, perfect. Now, in this method, what we need to do is we need to test behavior of the add method. Now, I'm going to create a target class object, calculator, calc is equal to new calc. Calculator calc is equal to new calculator, sorry. Calculator calc is equal to new calculator, calc dot add method 10 comma 10, 10 comma